No, I'm not crazy. If you are not aware of the premise of this story, what we're doing is we're merely painting the engine bay of this car. The presence of this car is that we're doing this in the content that it is a rolling restoration, if you will. So the owner's not spending a ton of money to get this thing, all mint and ready to go. What we're going to do is we're going to get the engine bay, the body color that the car is never going to be, which is an Abarth white, and then we're going to put in a hot little 2-liter motor. The owner's going to enjoy it for a little while, and then as we go, he will improve things on it. For example, we're going to put an upgraded suspension package on it. We're going to improve the brakes. We're potentially going to put a better wheel combination on it. But effectively, that's about it. The premise of this is this isn't something we would normally ever do. But again, we're just meeting an expectation. That is, let's get the engine bay relatively decent and presentable, if you will, and have the car get pretty as we go later on down the road. Now, there are certain rules no matter what the budget restraints are that you would never breach. There's a lot of bare steel in here. Bare steel typically comes from brake fluids that are leaking and they settle in and pull somewhere. When they settle and pull somewhere, they literally burn the paint right off. So we have to, and we chemically sanded this engine bay, I think 3 or 4 times now. So what that means is that we use a solvent to sand the engine bay. Now, the engine bay isn't, by no means is it mint and like a restoration would be, but it's very clean now. So what we're going to do is we're going to put an acid etching primer where all the bare steel is. That's something you can never exclude when you're doing something like this. You have to protect the metal. So once the acid etch is dry, then we will go ahead and put in a couple of coats of the Abarth white in the single stage paint. If this is something you're doing at home, more is not better. The more paint you apply, the less durable it becomes. You need to achieve a reasonable amount of gloss with a minimal amount of paint. That's not being cheap, that is where the durability comes into play. Paint is only as durable as its bonding process. Okay, so if we put a lot of paint down, each layer loses its ability to link to the preceding layer. So again, you don't want to put a lot of paint down, you just want to get good coverage and stop. Ideally, really no more than 2 coats. Okay, so right now I'm going to finish cleaning up, and then we'll start putting some acid etch down. Because we use the DuPont product all the way through the build. The reason we do that is because that's the only way we can get warranty backing from DuPont if the product ever fails. A lot of companies, what they'll do is they'll use the expensive stuff on the top, but everything underneath is lesser, inferior products that are cheaper for them to stock. So again, if you're having somebody else do this entire thing for you, don't hesitate to ask that simple question. What are we using for an acid? What are we using for an epoxy? What are we using for a surfacer? What are we using for a sealer? What are we using for a base? And what are we using for a clear? They should all be connected within the construction line of that company. Because again, if your paint ever fails on your car, it's the only way you're ever going to get the manufacturer to warranty it. Now obviously, whoever's doing the work for you is probably going to warranty it themselves. But this stuff is all designed to work within its own product line. You shouldn't see the paint bounce around. It shouldn't be, well, we use PPG this, we use DuPont that, we use Lacerate this. No, it's all linkable. Everybody does the same thing. They all use product that is linkable within its own system. Okay, so you don't want to see variations of the product line. Now, with that said, every manufacturer has what they call a subset manufacturer that they use. For example, DuPont DuPont also uses Nason. Nason is a lesser expensive product line. DuPont usually will warranty that because it's within their realm of construction, okay? But what they wouldn't warranty is if you use a direct competition. In other words, if you had PPG as your primer, but you use DuPont as your paint, they're not going to warranty that. And believe me, they have the ability to know what you use because they're going to do an analysis on your car to validate what was used. And they can break it down molecularly and tell you exactly what it is. So you're not fooling anybody. And this is a 2-to-1 product. And this is our reducer for the acid etch primer that we're using. You have to measure this about as accurately as possible. That's the other thing they can tell when they're warranting your product. They can tell whether you use excessive amount of reducers and activators, or if you use somebody else's reducers and activators, which, believe it or not, a lot of these won't be compatible with other brands. In fact, I've always known it that PPG is notorious for making sure that their product doesn't link to any other activators and reducers. This product may be chromate free, but it's still pretty dangerous stuff to inhale. So once you're in the paint booth, you got to make sure you're wearing quality respirators with updated charcoal filters. Because when this stuff settles in your lungs, whew, you'll be coughing for months until you get rid of it. And you notice when I'm mixing this, I'm not whipping it like I'm trying to make meringue. You don't want to incorporate air.